Questions and answers from the works of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. Today's subject is Knowledge, Part 7. From Sri Aurobindo. Yoga and knowledge are, in this early part of the Gita's teaching, the two wings of the soul's ascent. By yoga is meant union through divine works done without desire, with equality of soul to all things and all men, as a sacrifice to the Supreme, while knowledge is that of which this desirelessness, this equality, this power of sacrifice is founded. The two wings indeed assist each other's flight, acting together, yet with the subtle alternation of mutual aid. Like the two eyes in a man which see together because they see alternately. They increase one another mutually by interchange of substance. As the works grow more and more desireless, equal-minded, sacrificial in spirit, the knowledge increases. With the increase of the knowledge, the soul becomes firmer in the desireless sacrificial equality of its works. The sacrifice of knowledge, says the Gita, therefore, is greater than any material sacrifice. Even if thou art the greatest doer of sin beyond all sinners, thou shalt cross over all the crookedness of evil in the ship of knowledge. There is nothing in the world equal in purity to knowledge. By knowledge, desire and its firstborn child, sin, are destroyed. The liberated man is able to do works as a sacrifice because he is freed from attachment through his mind, heart, and spirit being firmly founded in self-knowledge. Gata Sanghyasa, Gnana Vashishta Cheshtha. All his work disappears completely as soon as done, suffers laya, as one might say, in the being of the Brahma. Pravilayate, it has no reactionary consequence on the soul of the apparent doer. The work is done by the Lord through his nature. It is no longer personal to the human instrument. The work itself becomes but power of the nature and substance of the being of the Brahma. Such is the intimate union between knowledge and equality. Knowledge herein the buddhi, reflected as equality in the temperament, above, on a higher plane of consciousness. Knowledge as the light of the being, equality as the stuff of the nature. Always in this sense of a supreme self-knowledge is this word jnana used in Indian philosophy and yoga. It is the light by which we grow into our true being, not the knowledge by which we increase our information and our intellectual riches. It is not scientific or psychological or philosophic or ethical or aesthetic or worldly and practical knowledge. These two no doubt help us to grow, but only in the becoming, not in the being. They enter into the definition of yogic knowledge only when we use them as aids to know the supreme, the self, the divine. Scientific knowledge, when we can get through the veil of processes and phenomena and see the one reality behind which explains them all. Psychological knowledge, when we use it to know ourselves and to distinguish the lower from the higher, so that this we may renounce and into that we may grow. Philosophical knowledge, when we turn it as a light upon the essential principles of existence, so as to discover and live in that which is eternal. Ethical knowledge, when by it having distinguished sin from virtue, we put away the one and rise above the other into the pure innocence of the divine nature. Aesthetic knowledge, when we discover by it the beauty of the divine. Knowledge of the world, when we see through it the way of the Lord with his creatures and use it for the service of the divine in man. Even then, they are only aids. The real knowledge is that which is a secret to the mind, of which the mind only gets reflections, but which lives in the spirit. The Gita, in describing how we come by this knowledge, says that we first get initiation into it from the men of knowledge who have seen, not those who know merely by the intellect, its essential truths, but the actuality of it comes from within ourselves. The man who is perfected by yoga finds it of himself in the self by the course of time. It grows within him, that is to say, and he grows into it as he goes on increasing in desirelessness, in equality, in devotion to the divine. It is only of the supreme knowledge that this can altogether be said. The knowledge which the intellect of man amasses is gathered laboriously by the senses and the reason from outside. To get this other knowledge, self-existent, intuitive, self-experiencing, self-revealing, we must have conquered and controlled our mind and senses, samyatendriyaha, so that we are no longer subject to their delusions, but rather the mind and senses become its pure mirror. We must have fixed our whole conscious being on the truth of that supreme reality in which all exists, tat paraha, so that it may display in us its luminous self-existence. But still, in the lower knowledge, doubt and skepticism have their temporary uses. In the higher, they are stumbling blocks, for there the whole secret is not the balancing of truth and error, but a constantly progressing realization of revealed truth. In intellectual knowledge, there is always a mixture of falsehood or incompleteness which has to be got rid of by subjecting the truth itself to skeptical inquiry. But in the higher knowledge, falsehood cannot enter, and that which intellect contributes by attaching itself to this or that opinion cannot be got rid of by mere questioning, but will fall away of itself by persistence in realization.